Welcome, fans, to SMQBs episode 129. This is Michael Rooster Phelan from Richmond, Virginia. We are missing the big guy, Christopher Bison Nace, who is currently in Italy stuffing himself with pasta and wine.
Terrible for him.
So he can't join us.
Tough go.
But we're lucky to have with us Patrick, Milk, Michler, Brian, the Pope, and Toby,
the Pope,
House, Milrod. So, guys, I wanted to announce before we get going. We're getting good feedback from the listeners and who are contacting us directly. So we thought we'd get more organized about this and have created an email address so that our listeners can send in their questions and their insights, and we will be sure to address them, unless, of course, your name is Paul Miller. So anyway, the email address for all of you out there is smqbsmailbag@gmail.com. So please send in your feedback, questions, whatever you want. We look forward to it.
One more time, Rooster. What is it?
SMQBs with an S at the end, mailbag@gmail.com.
We're going to need a postmaster general for all our mail.
Yeah,
that's right. That's right.
Might need a separate zip code.
Paul Miller, if yours email is returned undeliverable, sorry. Don't worry about it.
All right, guys, let's get to the numbers. House, you have a number?
The number is 27. That is the jersey number or kit number won by, you heard it here first on the SMQBs pod, Lamine Yamal. He is a starting winger on FC Barcelona, and he is 16 years old. You have to see this guy play. He was man of the match yesterday against Villarreal. And when you see this guy, Lamine Yamal, we are seeing the next great one in soccer. Check him out. Number 27, Lamine Yamal.
All right. While Pope tries to think up a number, Milk, give us yours.
Mine's 6. 6 is the number of times that Yankees fucking pitchers hit Rays batters over the weekend in the weekend series. Let me repeat that. 6 times they hit batters. The last one to Randy Arozarena led to a benches clearing brawl. Total bullshit move.
I would hardly call that a brawl. Maybe in Tampa, that's a brawl.
Yeah, Preston was about to run out on the field, by the way. Pathetic. You should be ashamed of yourself.
We'll have more to say on that topic. Pope, what's your number?
It is actually Bison. House, I was going there before you did. Not the number 23, but the number 5. Jersey number of one Trey Lance.
Oh,
you're Dallas Cowboy.
Been traded to the Dallas Cowboys to the surprise of everyone.
Except the coach and the starting quarterback.
Including the starting quarterback, including the head coach, including the training, including the entire coaching staff.
Yep.
Dak loved it.
Five is the week he'll be starting.
Look, as long as you're not focused on the Giants, that's all good. All good
Trader
stuff.
Jerry, he's got one up his sleeve. Jesus.
He does. What a brilliant move that was.
All right, my number is 1.5. And that is the number of Miller Lights that Milk consumed at our draft before he came around to all of us and said, "I'm hammered. You need to up your game."
Wow. That's so good.
That is such a lie.
That's actually less than the number of Manhattans that he had over the weekend.
That's
also true.
I had a lot of Miller Lights during our draft, which went exceptionally well, by the way. And I hate my team. I hate my team.
Who doesn't? Hey, you can tell from our backgrounds, it's time for our annual college football preview.
Yeah.
Yeah, some of us are psyched for it, namely Pope and Milk. But the season kicked off in Dublin.
Wait a second. I think I'm the only one who was in a college football major bowl last year. What?
Oh,
Isn't that
true,
right?
true. All right, so you're psyched
Yeah.
for it now too.
Yeah. Here we go.
But the exciting kickoff to the college football season in Dublin, Ireland, where Sam Hartman has obviously transformed Notre Dame's offense into a major threat. The days of mediocrity behind Ian Book and Deshaun Kaiser and Malik Zaire are over. The ACC's all-time leading touchdown passer is in Notre Dame. So,
24 years old.
yeah.
Hey,
Well,
by the
he's
way,
got
they
experience.
played Navy. Let's just keep
Yeah,
that in
let's
mind.
simmer down there,
Let's-
Skippy.
Let's simmer
Did
down.
you guys hear the
Simmer down there,
broadcaster?
Irish Skippy.
Did you guys hear the broadcaster explain why the Notre Dame Navy game is an annual event as long as Navy wants it?
Why?
Because after World War II, Notre Dame was in some big financial trouble, and Navy bailed them out. And in exchange, Notre Dame said, "We will play you as long as you want to repay your kindness." And that's what this series is all about.
Wow,
Good stuff.
I didn't know
Good
that.
stuff.
That's good
That's
stuff.
cool. Has Navy ever won?
They
Yeah,
have.
yeah. They won
Remember,
recently.
They won like in the last 10 years.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
Yep. Milk. Besides Notre Dame, who are the locks to make the college football playoffs?
Well, look, we can start at the very top. It's top heavy, then it gets interesting in the third and fourth. But obviously, Georgia is who everyone's talking about. Will they get a third national championship in a row, which has only been done one other time by who, Rooster?
Notre Dame.
No,
Hey,
Minnesota.
Oh, wow.
Minnesota. I don't.
I think it was
Wow.
Minnesota in the 1930s.
Oh, how would I
I'm
know
gonna have
that?
to fact check me on that, but I'm pretty sure.
In other words, it hadn't
look,
been done in the modern era.
Yeah, never been done in the modern era. That's the one. It hasn't been done by Saban. Hasn't been done by any of these guys. That's the one thing they have going against us. Because I will tell you what they have going for them is an unbelievable return of talent. They get a ton of guys back. The one question mark, of course, is the replacement of the 45-year-old Stetson Bennett. Looks like they're going with Carson Beck, who has been there a few years now. I think he's a redshirt sophomore. They have an unbelievable schedule to their advantage. I think their toughest game during the regular season is probably at Tennessee,
Which doesn't say much.
No. They get South Carolina, at home, no LSU, no Alabama, no Ole Miss, no A&M. The top
Wow.
teams in the West, they don't play. So it's hard to I think they're the overall consensus to have them as in the number one slot. They have a plethora of 5-star talent. We talked about it last year when they went up against TCU and just overmatched them completely. They have, I think I saw 15 of 24 starters coming back, a lot of them on defense. Defense is going to be sick. So, I mean, until something happens there, I mean, they're just such a complete team. Even if Beck went down, I'd still have them in there in the national championship. I'll put them at number one. I think if you're gonna put another SEC team, and I don't think that'll happen this year, like you got to go with either LSU or Bama. That's probably the second best teams coming out of there. LSU, I think, has the slight advantage, and I'll let you talk about Bama, Pope, but they return a lot of players. Most importantly, Jaden Daniels, their quarterback. I think he's going to have a phenomenal year. First year last year, he had some struggles, but I mean, I think Brian Kelly shocked everybody, and of course they had that the awesome win against Bama in that unbelievable game in Baton Rouge. That it's going to go down to that November 4th game, LSU at Bama. I think Bama's going with Milroe or Jalen Milroe. Pope,
We're probably starting with Milroe over Ty Simpson. I think Milroe he's a better runner, and he's probably gives you more versatility on offense. Ty Simpson's got a pro arm. And Saban actually said today that he wasn't this year. He wasn't doing the organizational depth chart. Didn't want people to get confused by that, which means to me he probably still hasn't decided who's going to start on Saturday. But my guess would be Milroe just because of his experience.
Yeah, he's shaking it up at 72. So
Yeah.
look, those two have to play each other. The West is much stronger, top to bottom, than the East. A&M will have a rebound year, I think, and then the winner of that, if it's LSU or Bama, if they don't have LSU's got to play Florida State week 1.
That's the
LSU.
biggest game early in the year.
Wow.
Yeah,
Is that this weekend?
Yeah.
that is Sunday.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's in Florida if there's not a hurricane. I still like LSU to win that game. I'm not sold on Florida State. It has nothing to do with my bias against them.
Nothing.
I just don't think they're ready for the big time, and I think they have some questions on defense. But so we'll see. But the problem is you got to play Georgia. So you're going to go to the SEC championship and play Georgia, and you're going to lose. I don't care who you are, LSU or Bama. They're just a better football team, and that's probably going to knock out a potential second SEC school from the top 4. So just Georgia, probably from the SEC,
unless LSU or Alabama's undefeated.
Unless I don't think they will be, though. I think each of them will have a loss going into.
So
that.
Who do you have number 2 then?
I'm going to the Big Ten, baby. Your conference,
Michigan.
House.
Yeah.
Rooster.
Well, my conference, the AAC, but okay.
I know, but you guys support the Big Ten.
Look,
I think a close 2 is Michigan. Michigan returns just about everybody. If you didn't watch JJ McCarthy last year, quarterback for Michigan, he's solid. He's very mobile. He's back for another year. I think he's going to have a phenomenal year. They've got an amazing running back, Blake Corum, who rushed for over 1,500 or close to 1,500 yards last year. He's back. They get Ohio State at home. Their toughest game, their schedule is almost Georgia level easy for the Big Ten. Their toughest game is obviously they play putting Ohio State to the side. Before that game at the end of the year, they go at Penn State.
Tough matchup.
Tough place to play. I give Michigan the advantage. Penn State's starting a new quarterback. He's young. I just think the talent level is different. So I've got Michigan and Ohio State going head to head. My only thing with Ohio State is, and they've got a ton of talent coming back too. And if you remember the semifinals last year, they played Georgia the toughest. And that was because their recruiting classes over the last few years are almost to the level of Georgia. They get 5-star players. They are top 3 consistently. They have the talent. I give Michigan a slight edge just because Ohio State is having to replace Stroud. And I don't think they've even, as of today, decided on their starting quarterback. I think it's going to be Devin Brown, but they still have not named him.
In that Georgia-Ohio State game, didn't Marvin Harrison got hurt?
Yep.
It was a relatively close game.
He was rolling in that game before he got hurt too.
Yeah.
Marvin Harrison's a Heisman candidate. So, I mean, they are stacked too. I give a slight edge to Michigan just due to the veterans that they have and a little bit more experience. But if you could very easily see both Michigan and Ohio State getting into the college football playoff, even one of them's undefeated, one of them has 1 loss. So I'm reserving Georgia, Michigan. I'll put Ohio State 4 or 3, which leads to the ACC. Everyone's talking about Florida State. Don't buy into the hype. I think they're absolutely overrated. Wow. They have a tough first game against LSU. They have to then go to Clemson a couple weeks later. I'm not buying into their defense. If you go back to last year and you see what Ohio State did or Florida State did, they played shitty teams at the end of the year when they went on that run and they won 6 or something in a row against losing record teams. Florida put up 40 on them or something we almost beat them in Tallahassee last year. The Gators, who are terrible. I know we had Richardson, but still, I think I think their defense is a question mark. I think they're going to lose LSU. I think they're going to go to Clemson and lose that game. That's 2 losses.
Wow.
They're done.
Wow.
They're going to win any
Yeah.
games.
And I
They
like
returned 91% of their players.
Milk,
I
you got
don't
them
care.
0-12.
I don't. I'm gonna lose every game. But
They'll
I
be
don't.
so depressed.
So who are you slotting in at number 3?
Yeah. Who's
I'm gonna
who's
put-
3 or 4?
I like Clemson. I like
Oh,
Clemson. I think
wow,
like,
that's gross.
No.
hey,
Wow.
no, they have their schedule is
Does
amazing.
Doug
They
have a picture
FSU,
of you with
I know. I was going to
Charleston?
say.
FSU,
Compromised.
UNC, Notre Dame, all at home. Good quarterback coming back, Cade Klubnik. So I like Clemson. I will say this: if it's not Clemson, it's going to be Washington. The Pac-12 will be the most exciting conference you will watch this year.
Yes, you are right.
You will not be able to watch them because you will be on the East Coast asleep. But they have unbelievable quarterbacks: Caleb Williams, Bo Nix at Oregon,
Michael
Cam
Penix.
Rising at Utah. They've got the old Clemson quarterback now who's at over at Oregon State, DJ
Ugalele.
My favorite quarterback, and I'll get to Heisman candidate, is at Washington, Michael Penix Jr. If you didn't watch him last year, he threw for almost 5,000 yards. I think Washington, dark horse in the college football playoff. I didn't like what I saw from USC Saturday. If you watch that game,
Defense was
Caleb
awful.
Williams, he looked great. Their defense looked absolutely terrible against an awful San Jose State team. I think that's where they struggle defensively, like they always have. I think Michael Penix Jr. is going to beat USC. That's going to be the game of the year in terms of quarterbacks. Washington could be your number 4. It's going to be Clemson or Washington.
Wow, that's a hot
there.
sports opinion, Milk.
Yeah. Well,
I think the
keep an eye on
surprise is
him.
we're supposed to go to Pope this week.
Pope.
Yeah, right.
Pope.
I mean,
Pope,
I've
you're
got-
up. Hold on one second. Pope, who could, considering the 6 teams that Milk has in the top 4, who do you think is going to sneak in there besides those 6?
well, I mean, I have 3 clear tiers, and Milk touched on most of them for tier 1. But tier 2, I've got Penn State, Florida State, USC, and then LSU, Alabama are like, to me, they're like 4 or 5. And then tier 3, I have Clemson, Texas, Tennessee, and Notre Dame. You know, one game we didn't talk about, guys, was Ohio State has to go to South Bend in October. That is going to be a juicy game. Those 2 usually don't hook up. So, you know, Ohio State's going to need to avoid a loss there. And if Notre Dame beats Ohio State, I know they have a tough schedule, but, you know,
I think Notre Dame beats Clemson. I'm just going to go on the record.
after
Wow.
Clemson beats Florida State. So, you know, fuck you, Dabo. I like Washington too, Milk. I just don't know. I don't see them getting into the playoff. This is the last year of the college football playoff as we know it. Thank God, right? And the Pac-12 record has been abysmal in the college football playoffs. And so in the last year, if the eye test is let's say a 1-loss Washington team against a 1-loss Alabama or LSU team that just lost to Georgia, I just don't think we're going to get Washington slotted in there. I just don't.
Here we go. He wants to put Bama in.
Well, I just said LSU. I mean, it's SEC bias. I don't see the Pac-12 having somebody. A Pac-12 team will have to run the table in order to get in the top 4, I predict. Well, I can tell you one thing that we're not going to see this year is no fucking TCU type team. Nobody, you know, remember TCU was not at rank. I don't even think they were in the top 50 last year going into the season. And this year, you've just got too many strong perennial teams. You're just not going to have somebody sneak up like a TCU. No Cinderellas, no sleepers like that. I think, you know, Texas is an interesting team to watch. They've got a great quarterback, Quentin Ewers. who, was at Ohio State. Then he went to Texas last year, and before he got hurt, he was playing really well. Sarkisian's got some great talent recruited, and
Is
I
that
would
the guy
watch
with the
out for
mullet?
them.
Yeah, Quinn Ewers
Yeah,
is the mullet.
Quinn Ewers
Yeah.
has a mullet.
Yeah, he was playing great.
Yeah, he got injured in the Alabama game. So big game. Of course, yours truly will be there as an in-bed correspondent. Would be the Horns at Bama week 2 in Tuscaloosa. If Texas can win that game, though, watch out, because they could run the table in the Big 12. So
I'm going to be at the Penn State at Ohio State game in October. That'll be fun.
That's a good. That's a great game. Correspondent game.
Yeah,
that's a huge game. I just can't put Texas in the national championship until Texas proves that they can go to the national championship.
I don't disagree. I'm just saying, hey, you guys, if they can beat Alabama, they'll have a ton of confidence going into the Big 12 schedule. And the Big 12, I just don't see it being that strong this year. OU's got another down year. So, and the TCU is certainly not what they were last year. And
House, you heard Pope say there cannot be a Cinderella this year. Do you agree?
No.
Oh boy.
I mean, listen.
Oh well, he's got one above him.
Well, I mean,
he wants to.
We're gonna get to the Heisman, but it's gonna be pretty tough to knock Caleb Williams off his perch. And the one team that did that, playing at full speed with all his playmakers around him, Tulane went out and won in the Cotton Bowl 46-45 to beat USC. So can they repeat it? They've brought back their quarterback, Michael Pratt. They lost their running back, Tajay Spears. They've got a great running back that's coming in behind him. You're going to see, actually, Tulane has a kid. His first name is Sincere. His name is Sincere Hainsworth. He's a center. He's going to be drafted probably in the first 2 or 3 rounds of the NFL draft. So their line is stacked. Their defense, they lost some guys. But here's an interesting thing, which I did not know till I did some of my crack research for this week. In the 9 years of the college football playoff, in the 9 years that they've given a slot, an automatic slot to one of the group of 5 conferences, those are the ones that are outside of the big ones that we've all been talking about. 7 of them have gone to the AAC, 6 straight. Most of the time being somebody like UCF went there a couple times, and Cincinnati was there, and Tulane. So the numbers are likely that if there's going to be a team from the G5 that makes some noise, it's likely to come from the AAC. This year, the upstart to the AAC was a team that moved over from, I think it was the Sun Belt, which was University of Texas San Antonio, UTSA.
Roadrunners.
And the Roadrunners have a great quarterback in Frank Harris, who will get a lot of attention early on. I think those 2 teams may play each other. I'm not sure when they are on each other's schedule, but that'll be the big game. Another team to look out for in terms of a Cinderella is from the Sun Belt. Knocking on the door of the top 25 in the last year or 2 has been Troy of the Sun Belt Conference. And so if there's going to be a surprise team that makes it in the top 25, Tulane, UTSA, Troy, and the most efficient quarterback in all of college football last year was a guy named Grayson McCall from Coastal Carolina. You'll probably remember when they made a huge run a couple years ago, it was Coastal Carolina and Liberty going head-to-head. If this guy catches fire again this year, Grayson McCall, you could see Coastal Carolina as being a Cinderella-ish type team. But yeah, it's going to be tough. I think the one thing that Pope really has it right on is, I don't think it's just the last year of the college football playoff as we know it. I think it's the last year of college football as we know it, as we used to know it. I mean, it's crazy that the most exciting conference is going to be a conference that's gone next year, Pac-12. It's crazy that, these games, between OU and Texas now moves over to, I don't know, are they still, I guess they're keeping up the rivalry in the SEC, but that game is over. The Big 12, as we know it, is over.
Texas
the Big 12
is now going to play A&M again, which is huge down here.
That's fun. But the Big 12 is now like UCF and Houston and Cincy and BYU. Like it's. So I don't know. it's going to be a fun season. I am very nervous on the expectations that are on Tulane, coming off of a 10-2 season and returning a quarterback who's in the second tier of Heisman candidates. There's going to be a lot of pressure on that team. So we'll see.
So we've mentioned a couple of times we don't think there's anyone who's going to knock off Caleb Williams for the Heisman Trophy. I think that Vegas currently has him at plus 375 odds to win it, and the next closest is plus 1,000. But we've never gotten this right, I don't think, when we try to predict the Heisman. So it's unpredictable. I'm going to start with you, Milk. Who do you have as your non-Caleb Williams choice for the Heisman?
No, look, I mentioned it earlier. I'm really have a man crush on Penix from Washington. I think he's going to blow up this year, and he threw for, I think he's going to surpass 5,000 yards passing this year. He's got, and it's an exciting conference. They're pass happy. He's going to get a lot of action. And I think if he beats USC, that's going to be a huge showdown. I think he takes the Heisman Trophy. So I've got him as my Heisman Trophy winner.
What about you, Pope?
I know you're not going to be surprised by this, but
here comes the Carolina choice.
Well, I mean, Drake May, I'm not making it up, is
I like him.
Yeah, I mean, there are a number of publications that have predicted, ESPN did, that May would win the Heisman. His second year, he's got the whole 5-tool package, whatever the hell it is, that quarterback has. He's got a pro arm. The thing that'll hold him down is Carolina's team is not going to be an elite team this year, so far, best we can tell. He's got a fairly inexperienced receiving core, but watch out for Drake May. I also say watch out for Marvin Harrison Jr. He could go off this year, and I think the Heisman voters would love to give it to somebody like him. And then watch out for Blake Corum, the running back from Michigan. If Michigan has a great year and he piles up more yards and touchdowns, he'll be another favorite.
Breaking news. Joe the plumber died today at age 49.
Yeah, I saw that.
Sorry, Joe.
All right, House.
Pour one out for him.
House.
Well, I was also going to say, if you're going to go non-Caleb, I think after this star-studded group of Ohio State receivers, it's crazy to think Marvin Harrison is head and shoulders above all of them. Garrett Wilson, Jackson Smith-Njigba, Olave, and Harrison is like in another planet. And I do think he's going to be a top 2 or 3 pick in the NFL draft next year. And I think if his numbers are crazy, he's going to push Caleb Williams. I think that because Georgia's schedule is light, I think if Carson Beck puts up huge numbers, despite the fact that he's not been on anybody's radar, if he's throwing up huge numbers and they're winning and they're undefeated, he's going to be in the conversation. I think the same goes if Milroe comes out of nowhere and ends up being a great quarterback. Georgia and Bama get Heisman consideration. And I would
say same thing for Jaden Daniels if he has a great year. And LSU is what we think they are.
If you want a crazy off the wall selection that will never happen, but he should get some consideration, the tight end for Georgia, Brock Bowers, is a man among boys. Yeah. He is a manimal, and it would be fun to see him go off and get an invite.
Yeah. So Vegas has Jaden Daniels as number 2 behind Caleb Williams for odds. I'm with you, House. I think Marvin Harrison Jr. is the best football player of all of the candidates, head and shoulders. And if he remains healthy, I think he's got a great shot at winning it.
Yeah. I mean, the question will be, can Devin Brown or Kyle McCord, whoever they pick, make him look like a stud? Assuming they can.
Right.
It's a tough schedule. I didn't
Not
know
CJ
about the Notre
Stroud
Dame.
anymore.
Yep. And Penn State. So let's move on. Who's got a punchable face? Anyone?
I have to. I swung a right last week. I'm coming back with an uppercut this week to this douchebag Luis Rubiales. I mean, the plot has thickened. This guy that like basically tried to make out with one of the. It is so sad that this Spanish women's football team won the World Cup, and there's absolutely zero attention to the team, their victory, the historic celebration that they've achieved. Everything is about this guy. His mother is now on a hunger strike because her poor little son is being painted as the victim. Just watch the video.
He's saying that she consented to it.
Oh my God.
I mean, they're attacking the victim 100%.
It is so bad. It is so bad, and we're gonna keep punching this guy till he finally does resign. All the regional presidents of Spanish soccer just came out and called on him to resign. The pressure is going to keep coming, but I think ultimately it's going to be the SMQBs that take him down, which is why we're uppercutting him today.
All right, I've got one. My punchable faces are Randy Arozarena and the Tampa Bay Rays.
Wow.
What?
Poor Arroz Campollo gets hit by a sinker on a 3-1 pitch where the Yankees are down 2 runs and there's obviously no intent to hit him. They're trying to get him to ground out so they can get back in the game. And he pretends that he has to be restrained from rushing the mound. Meanwhile, the pitcher, Abreu, is like 2 feet from him, has walked off the mound, standing right in front of him. And Randy is pretending he's being restrained and can't get to him. So then he takes first base, steals second, steals third, and starts mouthing off to Abreu again. The bench is clear for a second time. And again, he's just like a basketball fight. His arms are out. He's like, hold me back, hold me back. You know, if you're gonna run your mouth about this and get all upset and want to fight, then fight, for God's sakes. Go fight him. He's standing right there. Otherwise, shut the fuck up, you big wuss.
Damn.
I'll give you that he should have charged the mound. I'll give you that. That's the second time he's hit him this year. That was the problem.
You know, what self-respecting batter who thinks he's been hit intentionally doesn't charge the mound? I remember when Thurman Munson once charged the mound with the bat still in his hand. Pitcher was terrified.
It's a different generation, man. It's not like Nolan Ryan days.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it's like an NBA. It's like an NBA fight. They're all like, "Whoa, hold me back," and then start screaming like, "I'm going to kill you."
When Robin Ventura charged Nolan, Nolan put him in a headlock, gave him a noogie.
That was great.
That was awesome.
Pope, you have to give a punchable face to Jerry Jones.
What, for Trey Lance? Or
yeah,
just
well,
life?
Not only that, for just this, the preseason is over. Their entire focus should be on game 1, playing the Giants. And what has Jerry done in the last 2 days? He's announced that the trade for Trey Lance without consulting with his head coach or his starting quarterback, and then just decided to let the world know, I would have drafted Jalen Hurts if he had fallen to us. What the hell is he trying to do?
God, who knows? Maybe he's got formal dementia. Somebody made a comment on our sports radio driving. I was listening that he finally got his Johnny Manziel, because he wanted so desperately to draft Johnny, and we talked him. He got talked out of it, and of course got Zach Martin instead. That would have been quite a mistake by Jerry, but he can't help himself. He loves the attention. Preseason's winding down. He seeks it and he gets it. And, I got to feel sorry for Will Greer. Will Greer is told, you're not on the team except for the game tonight. And by the way, you're playing the entire game. And then after the game, you're going to be released. And he goes out and he's 29-35 and he is a victorious quarterback. He had a great game. Actually,
apparently Dak was calling the plays that game.
Dak was calling the plays that game. Evidently, Dak and Will Greer are pretty tight.
The rest of the
yeah.
NFC East loves this because
Of course.
I'm telling you that I think Dak has a bit of a fragile psyche, and this cannot be making him feel confident.
I don't know if he has a fragile psyche. He's got a problem throwing interceptions, but
Got a
and
fragile
not
arm.
winning key games.
Well, look, all you guys do on this pod is rip on Dak. So maybe it's not a bad decision.
Well, it's an insurance policy. He's got 2 years left on his rookie contract. Another interesting thing I heard was Mike Lombardi. You guys probably hear him on Bill Simmons every now and then. He used to be one of the main guys for the Niners during the Montana years. But he was talking about how during COVID, a lot of these guys, especially Trey Lance, nobody got to really see him the year before he was drafted. In competitive football on the road type atmosphere, and he said a lot of people overestimated Trey Lance based on his combine, but did not really take into account, was he a really good football player for the NFL based on where he was coming from at North Dakota State. And he said, the Dolphins traded 3 first-round draft picks. I mean, the Dolphins got 3 first-round draft picks for him, and look what they've turned those picks into, like the Herschel Walker trade of modern era.
Yeah, I mean, doesn't Jerry even acknowledge that after giving away 3 first-round picks, the Niners are willing to give this guy up for a 7th-round pick? Maybe there's something wrong there. Fourth.
And by the way, Dallas was the only team in the NFL that was willing to offer a 4th. There were some others that were offering 5ths. So
the guy could not beat out Sam Darnold.
Yeah,
Why are we talking so much about Trey Lance? He couldn't beat out Sam Darnold.
Well, we're talking about Jerry Jones being
that's true, but
a horrible GM.
But
he drafted a backup quarterback. Yeah. I mean, he traded for a backup quarterback for a 4th rounder. 4th rounders, some of those players turned in to be really good players. So we'll see down the road. Cooper Rush still, though, on the depth chart is going to be number 2 quarterback.
Yep.
They 6-1 last year?
Yeah.
Should have stuck with Cooper.
He's gold, man. He's gold.
Could have been the Super Bowl.
All right.
We all can't have Baker Mayfield, guys.
Time
excited.
To bake.
Excited to see him.
Who's got a lasso? Anyone? We need to spend more time coming up with lassos. We're kind of
there's not
we've
really
hit a dry hole on lassos.
I don't know the guy's name, but I mean it is kind of a lasso moment. The way that the California US team had a walk-off home run over
that was awesome.
Was it Curacao to win the Little League World Series?
Congrats to those kids.
And didn't Curacao hit a grand slam to tie it up in the top of the 5th, and then the guy hit a walk-off to win it. I mean, what are you, 12 years old when you go Little League World
Curacao
Series?
has that 24-year-old pitcher who was challenging the Mexican team after he won that game.
Well, and I don't know if you saw the pitcher for Mexico against Texas. Oh my God. He was throwing gas. He does not look like he's 12 or 13 years old. But I mean, that's got to be a special moment. The guy may never make anything of himself from a sports standpoint, but he'll always have a walk-off Little League World Series championship home run. Doesn't get any better than that.
Unbelievable.
Agreed.
By the way, if you watch the international game against Taiwan, they lost, but the Taiwanese pitcher, who is bigger than me, literally, he's 5'8", like 165.
Probably could drink more Miller Lite than you,
right? And could definitely drink more than 2 Miller Lights. Was throwing the MLB equivalent of 103 or something.
Wow!
I mean, it was absurd.
Oh, he'll have Tommy John in a couple of years when he's 14.
Right. All these kids are gonna.
I don't think fastballs are the problem with the elbow.
Yeah.
All right. Well, who's got a buzzer beater?
Well, I've got one that I've been sitting on for a couple hours, and now I'm not sure what's going to happen, because I don't know if you guys heard about it, but there was a shooting incident in Chapel Hill this afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
And a faculty member was shot, and they've got the guy. It was kind of a mass shooter fear situation. But why is that important? It's important because the ACC had scheduled a meeting of the presidents tonight to vote on the expansion of the ponies from SMU, Cal, and Stanford going to the ACC, and it sounded like it was a done deal. Maybe this just puts it off because, in deference to what happened in Chapel Hill, but they postponed it tonight because of that. But that is a shock the world. When I went to SMU in 1985, the last thing I thought that would ever happen is that SMU and where I moved from Chapel Hill, living in North Carolina, and SMU and North Carolina would ever be in the same conference. It just speaks volumes of where we are today. And my final buzzer beater, following up as I told you I would on the George Addison investigation.
Oh,
Oh
the
my
dog.
God, it's still going. All right.
What's going on?
It was total bullshit. He has pled to a misdemeanor speeding charge, and it is over.
Wow.
Ooh. Hope like a
Wow.
dog after a
Wow.
bone
I tell you what.
finally runs this down.
I tell you what a sack of shit that guy is.
Why did you punch him?
Yeah.
I could have punched him. You're right, but it was an
another
update.
punch.
It's an update.
That's a good one.
so,
That's a good one.
I like
good
that.
one.
Nice
That's a
work,
good one.
Pope.
Yeah, good job. Who else?
I want to say something about Milk, what he sent about baseball last night or this morning, whatever. Baseball is in the best shape that it's been for a long time, and it comes as a big surprise because we all thought that we were going to hate all of these changes. I mean, we still hate the Ghost Runner, but I don't remember what the stats were, but the average is
25 minutes shorter.
25 minutes shorter. It's been forever since someone had a violation. All the players got used to it. Between that and the rule changes with enabling, wild card teams, 3 wild card teams in, you've got 6 teams on either league that are somewhat in striking distance. I think baseball has got more fan bases involved this late in the season than in a very long time. And hopefully that's making the youth turn on the TV and watch baseball, because I really think it's in a very, very healthy shape.
Yep.
Except for the Texas Rangers. And
they're not in a healthy shape.
Oh my God. A tailspin.
Pope, in the words of Chico Escuela, baseball is very, very good.
Life?
Oh.
Very, very good.
Very, very good.
Very, very good to me.
Yeah. Milk doesn't have any idea what we're talking about.
It's something you learned in Nam.
Did he play in the 50s?
He was a Saturday Night Live character.
The Good Morning America, the Good Morning Vietnam fantasy draft.
What's your buzzer beater, Rooster?
I have a quick one. I think in the summer of running back conceding to their teams, there's one guy I think is going to stand up to it and buck the trend, and that's Jonathan Taylor. Josh Jacobs just signed for $12 million. Saquon signed for $12 million. Taylor wants 14 to 15, and he's got more leverage because he was not a first-round draft pick like the other 2 guys. And so his team doesn't have a 5th-year option on him. And so he's doing this a year earlier, and I think has forced them into a position where they know they're not going to be able to franchise tag him, and they're probably going to trade him. It looks like they're probably going to trade him and accede to his wishes if they could just get the right deal in exchange. And don't forget, this owner, Jim Irsay, is the same guy who traded Marshall Faulk rather than paying him, and let Edgar and James become a free agent rather than paying him. So,
that's the problem, isn't it?
He's got a history of walking away from superstar running backs.
Who is going to pay him? Like, apparently all the NFL executives were, confidentially surveyed, and across the board it was second rounder, no more than a second rounder for Taylor as a trade. So that seems to be the price. But who has that kind of room right now to accede to his wishes of being paid $12, $13, $14 million? Do the Dolphins have that room? I don't know. I mean, that seems to be the
Dolphins
most likely
would have
landing.
to cut a couple of their, B-level running backs like Mostert. And,
when do they have to make this call by? Is it tomorrow?
Soon. Yeah, I think it's tomorrow.
I think it's tomorrow.
Apparently the Bears and the Broncos are interested too. I can see the
Ooh.
Broncos being interested because their
Like-
number one running back doesn't seem to be back from his major knee surgery. Anyway, it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. Anybody else?
Yeah.
All right.
Big congrats to Victor Hovland. I think we've done this
Yeah.
a couple weeks now. Won $18 million yesterday. That's pretty
Yeah.
nice.
Nice.
Pretty. That's live
Good
style
payday.
money. Good payday. Shot a 63 yesterday. Guy's
Yeah.
playing unbelievable golf, and it gets us set up for Ryder Cup.
Doesn't bode well for the US over there.
No. It doesn't bode well at all. And have they announced a team pope, or when they're still
Tomorrow
deciding?
morning at 9 a.m. Eastern time, Zach will tell us our other 6.
Will Koepka make it?
I think he
Ooh.
will. It'll be Spieth, Koepka, Ricky, Morikawa. Hell, I mean, do you put Schauffele on there now after the way he played?
Yes.
Max Homa on it.
Max Homa already qualified automatically. There's 6 guys who qualified. The next, or you got Koepka, Spieth, Cam Young, Morikawa, Keegan Bradley. Schauffele's actually not up there, so I don't know. No, he's number 6. He qualified automatically.
Yeah.
And Harmon and Clark are both in.
Yep.
Yeah.
I
think
the
we- I still think we have
automatic
a
or
good
Scheffler,
squad.
Cantlay, Xander, Harmon, Clark, and Homa.
And all those guys are playing pretty well right now. Most of them. I mean, Morikawa especially has come
Yeah, he's finally come on.
easily.
I mean,
around, so
I think it sets up for a great Ryder Cup, really.
yeah,
I mean,
it's going to be a good one.
Hovland, Rory, Rahm.
Yeah. Strong team.
Love it.
All right. Well,
All right, fellas, have a good week.
safe travels back, Bison.
Yeah, Bison, we missed you. Not.
Peace
I
out.
think he's still in Italy next week.
Yeah,
Peace
that's
out.
right. Peace out.